everybody. Um, Today I have a new subject that's just as important as any other one that I've been talking about. And I, I never really have these topics on mind to think of, but just the universe just brings out things and then puts it on my plate so I can talk about them. Just recently affected by news in my own family of a tragedy, and plus the things I see in the news. It's just all pointing to me talking about today's subject, which is pretty much saving the youth who are in the culture of um, poverty, or better yet, saving youth who are in the hood culture, pretty much. Um, I'll start it off with this 3-minute interview that I saw a few days ago, where this man goes and talks to a couple of kids in Louisiana, and they're gangbangers, and he just talks to them to try to get their perspective of what's going on in the world and why they gangbang or do whatever they want to do. So it gives you a precursor to what I'm about to discuss, and I'll just press play and make the screen bigger first and let you listen. Oh, just like yesterday, this video is rated R. It has gun appearances and I'm sure profanity. I don't remember really good because I never plan these things out. I just go off my what I'm thinking about. But anyway, I've seen this before, and it's a pretty good perspective from the gangbanger side. So just take a minute to look into it, and it's 3 minutes long. So I probably have cut it off short once they get to the gist of the talk, or the full meanings out. So I'm gonna let it run. Let's see. First, let me make sure something. Yeah, it's good. Okay.
I'm meeting up with two New Orleans gang members to get a better understanding of life on the streets and the reality of a gun culture spiraling out of control.
Now the youngsters is crazy. It's wild. I don't play with these little boys out here. Also, I got refugee recognition. You see this cross right here? This cross means I was murdered. This cross right here means I wasn't playing. It's not for decoration. They deal with me, they got to come right. They got to know their homework when they fuck with me.
Were you here when Katrina struck?
Yes, I was. I swim in that dirty ass water. I was out here breaking and writing, stealing medicine, dope. This is you kill my fucking seat.
Why do you think it is so violent? Why is it so violent in New Orleans?
Shit, man, fuck, it's violent as fuck. They don't want to give a nigga no fucking job, you heard me? Look at a nigga, they like, fuck you a hood, you heard me? So fuck. If you don't want to give it to me, you heard me? And I'm trying to do the right thing, you heard me? Fuck. Well, fuck it, look, I gotta go take it, you heard me? Fuck it, you heard me?
What about the police force?
Fuck the police, you heard me? Fuck NOPD, you heard me? Cause it's like this here, you heard me? They don't help a nigga for nothing, you heard me? They just wanna see a nigga locked up behind the fucking balls, you heard me? What the fuck we gonna do, you heard me? We get out of jail, you heard me? Then they don't wanna hire you, cause I was fucking background. Fuck a background, you heard me?
So what did you do then, mate? How do you survive?
Fuck, man, I survive, fuck, I get it how I live, you heard me? I take what I want, you heard me? Believe that, you heard me?
And where do you go to take what you want?
Fuck. Go anywhere, fuck. It can go down there at any time, fuck. It can go down right now. I heard me? Fuck. Right now, want something I want. It's about me right now. Shit, and about the police, you ever hold my whole court? I was 5 times loose, I will hold court right there and now. The police roll on me, and I'm hot, it's me or him. I'm holding court right here.
What do you mean by that? Is you shoot out. Shoot it
They
out.
shoot it out. You kill me, I kill him. Fucking right. We'll hold court, we'll take it to trial.
In your hand now, you got a pistol, yeah?
Yeah, this shit make my dick hard. Fucking right. I get a nigga in with this. Real,
How easy is it to get one of those in the set?
like fucking getting a fucking cold drink.
Getting a cold drink?
Yeah, like getting a fucking cold drink, getting a snow, getting a penny or something.
Shit. That gun could have actually
north and south. They stealing from us. We ain't getting shit. They stole the Katrina money. They stole everything. We ain't got shit.
Said that they stole the Katrina money.
Fucking right, they stole it. I ain't getting no assistance. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell right here on earth.
The chances of these two young men becoming another murder statistic are very high.
So you see right there from the perspective of the actual gangbanger, he got to speak his mind. If you think about it, the most important piece of the video was when he said, "This is hell on earth." And pretty much that's what's the whole feeling in the culture of being in a hood or whatever you want to call it, in a trap, whatever you want to say. In these videos, I hope to share a little bit of myself, but not too much because I'm not just so open off the bat to anybody. But because a lot of people like to take your information and run with it. But eventually, I get to a point where I just I'm at the point where I'm ready to just share the whole thing, whether it be in a book or whatever. And really, I could care less, but it's just the point. But anyway, if you are from, let's start from the beginning. If you are from the trap hood, whatever you want to call it, then you know exactly what goes on in it. If you're not, you're on the outside looking in, and you understand. And this video is for the people on the outside looking in who don't really understand what's going on, don't know why these people, if you want to say these people, I don't know why these people want to act like this or why they don't just get a job or do this. It's just to basically, this is a big topic too. I could spend months talking about this, just like any of the other videos that I've had before. Pretty much, let's define the culture. And I say culture because it's not that what you just saw, a gangbanger or the activities of gangbanging or someone who's in a gang. It's not specifically on any one race, although you might see a majority of one race because that majority is the race that stays in the hood or in the trap, whatever you want to call it. So because it goes across all races, so you can't just pick out a race and say the reason that black people or the reason that white people or the reason that Hispanic people, because just like in my hood or trap, whatever you want to call it, on one end, I'm going to say two popular names so you can get the picture. On one end of my own neighborhood, there's Little Kiki. If you're in Houston, you know what I'm talking about. And on the other end, there's Pow Wow, and he's not black to my knowledge. So you can see that it's not just your skin color. It's actually a culture that you're bred into. If you bring a white family into the culture, they're gonna, if they don't have their mind on doing something better or trying to get out of their situation, then they'll be influenced by the things that go on right in their neighborhood. And before I had the tragedy that happened in my family yesterday, I had just finished my abuse video, and it inspired me or reminded me to post a song I had made a long time ago. And if you got a chance to hear that song, it's great. If you didn't, then I'll repost it because it's applying to this video as well. And the song is called Street Casualties, and pretty much is the story. There's 4 verses in it. The first verse is describing just the regular life of this kid who's in the hood, and he sees that doing, illegal activities is the only way to get out of the hood. Second verse is about, about a man who has done the right thing the whole time, but he hasn't done the right thing the whole time, but he's pretty much doing illegal activities too, and his main focus is to take care of his kids. But at the same time, taking care of his kids and doing those illegal activities like robbing, his thing was robbing. The first verse was more about selling drugs. The second verse is robbing, and he ends up going to jail for it. The third verse was, let me remember. Third verse is about a woman, a child who doesn't have a dad. Dad left him, like is what's usual in the culture of the hood. The dad left the family and left the mom to pay the bills, and she can't really pay the bills. So the child grows up and he's looking like, I gotta be the man of the house, and I go out and I'm gonna sell these drugs or whatever and get in a gang and feel protected by that gang. And at the end of the thing, at the end of the third verse, he ends up dying because he's in the gang world and a rival gang comes and kills him. And then the last verse is a little snapshot. Why am I so thirsty? It's a snapshot of it's a snapshot of my own life, and it's where I was at a crossroads whether I'd be with someone who, because in my whole neighborhood, that's pretty much what you're doing. People my age, if you're 15 or a teenager, you're selling drugs. So I'm either with this person who's selling drugs or somebody who also had my heart, who wasn't doing any drugs, but I could be with that person. So in the end of the video, I mean, not video, the end of the fourth verse is my own story where I choose not to be with the drug dealer and I choose to be with the one who I did have more affection for in my heart and loved a lot. And later on in life, the one that I wasn't with, then that person ended up staying in, the drug world or whatever and getting shot and killed. So that's all the story is. If you haven't listened to it, then I'll go ahead, like I said, and repost it today. But let's get to the whole thing. Hopefully the goal is what's the goal? The goal today is to basically give you an understanding of why gang activity is going on, what's happening inside the culture. I mean, like I said, this is something that can go on for months that I could talk about because there's so much to deal with. You can never just figure something out off of the little bit that I'm going to give you today. But I'll try to summarize it up, and hit all the important points. So pretty much from my own experience, like I mentioned a few tapes back, I said that, if you heard me, I said that I would avoid, I wouldn't be going to school much. And if you're not in school, you're sure not going to be at home. So most likely you're going to be on the street somewhere or whatever. So that's usually where I spent most of my time. and spending most of my time, you see how things go and you see why people are out there selling drugs and you see why people are doing things. And that's why today God puts you in a place, in a path, even though it might seem, parents, if you just go ahead, if you're having a difficult child, just go ahead and keep praying for them behind the scenes and just have faith that God will show them the way. I mean, just always have faith in them, because just because they're going on the wrong path right now doesn't mean they're not going to come to a status where they're influencing somebody else's life later on. So pretty much, let's start at the basis. What is in the culture? Why is the hood as it is? Well, first of all, because there aren't businesses in our own area. If you notice banks and things, you'll never find really banks inside of the hood. Banks and all the money-making places are outside of the hood. The hood is a place where there's nothing really substantial being placed back into the hood. Instead, it's being taken out of the hood. So with that lack, where you look around and you say everything is just broke, poverty, and you see that broke and poverty does not look good, and in your mind you begin to say, I don't want this. This is not what I want, and I want to make others feel like I'm not this broke poverty. So what can make that happen? My outside. You don't even have to get to know me, just as long as I have lots of jewels or my hair is done or I got a tight fade or whatever. My outside looks great, so I'm going to work on my outside so you don't have to worry about my inside, because my inside's already torn up from living in all this poverty, because there's no kind of happiness. If you remember from my old video before, I also said that the hood is a place where people use the word friendly as an insult. If you walk around and you're like, hi Dave, how's your day going? Or anything like that, then you're seeing that, look at y'all friendly, people, it's almost like an insult. You're friendly? What you got to be happy about? Look around you. It's destruction, it's murder. Just like the boy on the video said, this is hell on earth. So when you got that in your head, which many people do because they've got broken homes, they've got poverty, they've got everything of negativity. It's pretty much the whole environment is like you're in between the wilderness and civilization. You're stuck in the midst. If you were in the wilderness, if there was no civilization around us, we would have to get up, each one of us, every day with our pitchforks and our sticks and our rocks to go out and hunt something to eat for today. So that's why I say it's in between wilderness and civilization. And on the other end, in a civilized place, then everything's in order. You go into a business, everyone's dressed nicely. You go into a business and you do business transactions, you walk down the street and you're smiling and you're happy and it's a sunny day. You're in the midst of that because you're looking, you just can't, you're in the wilderness, but at the same time, you're in civilization. And the mixture of that creates a place where you're uncontent to live in the wilderness because you see their civilization and you can see that civilization and great things are just in your grasp, but you don't know how to get it. No one's teaching you. And that also comes back to the foundation of the homes where people are being brought up in these poverty areas. So if you look at the family is foundation of everything. When you look at the family, there's a trait in our culture, in my culture, where I've grown up. There's a trait where you see that there's a parent in the home. The mother has usually maybe gotten pregnant when she's young because she's sexually active, or because she loved someone and got with that person and ended up having a baby. And whatever way it came about, whether it was rape, whether it was a free will, whether it was a planned pregnancy, whether it was a youth pregnancy, however, the woman ends up having a baby. It might usually end up being where she's young. She's extremely young and not ready on her own to even get a job. She might be 15, 16, not even at an age really to get a job. So she has this baby. And even if a man was planned to be there, usually some kind of way, the forces of nature are going to make this man leave, where this woman is stuck now, not stuck, but has the responsibility of her own to take care of this baby. So whether she be a mom who wants to turn to the system and say, okay, help me take care of this baby, or whether she be someone who's minded like, oh, nobody's going to take care of me. I take care of my own and I'm going to get out there and work. Either way, this is going to have an influence on the child that's growing up. The child grows up, sees dad isn't around, so he's not used to having a dad around. If mom did go to work, mom has no time to spend with baby because mom is always at work trying to get the money just to pay the bills and take care of the little baby. So if the baby is a boy especially, it's going to really affect him on the side of not having a dad. So you can imagine if the woman did her thing and took care of the child the whole time and taught him how to be a man, he's still lacking the things of a man. The woman thinks in her mind, oh, I must be harder on my son. I got to smack him around because if he cries too much, I don't want him to turn into a girl, or, I'm going to make him a man out of him because I got to be hard on him because I don't have a man to show him how to be a man. So I must be the man for him. And what I think a man is somebody who walks around and they're always, rough and they're telling him don't cry like a girl or that kind of thing. So through all this, it's her intention to grow him up as a man and think this is what a man is by teaching him all these things. But actually, that's not what a man is. If you want to teach your child how to be a man, show him God. That's his father. That's his real father. Anybody can have a father, even if you weren't born with one. That's your father. And see what your father says in the Bible, and he'll show you how to be a man. That's all it needs. You don't need to be on him and say don't cry, because all humans have emotion, and you don't have to be so hard on him just because he cries or anything. But if he grows up and he's gotten all this tough love from his mom trying to be the dad, then he's walking around like, yeah, I don't cry. I handle my business. I do what I got to do to get this money. If the money isn't there, then I do what I got to do to get it. So it's that mentality that's recycled. And sometimes when someone doesn't have a dad, they could care less about taking care of their own children. They're like, nobody take care of me. That's the excuse. No one took care of me. Why would I take care of this child? Even though it's mine, sure, you can get DNA and test and prove that it's mine, but why would I take care of this child when nobody had to take care of me and I grew up pretty good? In their mind, they're thinking, I'm pretty good. Why would somebody have to take care of this baby? I mean, that's just taking out of my money, out of my mouth. Some people can get that selfish. That's what it comes down to when you're in between the wilderness and civilization. Because just like in the wilderness, if we were all, cavemen, and we're out there hunting, and we see this person, same skin and flesh and blood like you, when we see this person out there hunting, if they're about to catch the rabbit and you've been starving, you and your family starving for days, it would come down to a battle with forget trying to chase that rabbit. He's in competition for what I'm trying to eat. He's got my money. He's got my food, and I need that to provide for me and myself, if not just me alone. So now I'm going to come against this person because they have what I need and I don't have it, and I have no means to get it. If this person didn't exist, I could have all the rabbits out here. And that's the selfish kind of trait that we come into. We're bred to get and not give. The whole culture is get, and don't give back if you fall into that culture. But if you have a mind of your own, like I've usually had a mind of my own, then you look around and you notice these things, and you don't just fall into the traits and trends of how a society has set you up to be. And when I talk about a society set up to be, that brings me to the fact of there's also systems in order in the world to keep you into that poverty. Like, for example, from what I've learned to being out around the people who do what's supposed to be illegal activities or whatever, when I've been around them, I've noticed, I mean, as an adult now, I see how they were young. I mean, someone somewhere is recruiting the young who haven't had a chance to find out their real identity, who haven't had a chance to think about life. They're tempted with the flash of it. Oh, I can get you big money today. Just start selling these drugs for me, and I'll give you this, and I'll give you a cut out of it, and you can be balling. And you know what comes from balling? You can get the women, you can get the rides, you can get everything that's attractive to fulfill your outside needs so that you can look like the civilization, even though you're coming from the wilderness. So young kids are facing life sentences because they are being tempted just to look good on the outside, because this is what our culture honors. I mean, it's a whole big circle. You go out and you do whatever you can to get the money just so you can look good to other people, because you don't want to show where you've come from. You want to show that you're better than what you come from, because when you look around, all the poverty is ugly, and you don't want to have any inkling that you came from that. No, you might have lived through that, but look at me now. I'm driving this, got on this, I got this jewelry, and I just look good, and you can't tell me nothing. So that's almost like a grab at how can I get confidence, because this neighborhood has squashed me so much. Everybody has an attitude. Everybody's mad at each other because we're all in conflict. We're trying to get, and we don't have, the bills aren't paid at home. My mom's mad at me and she's yelling at me. And I mean, not in my own experience, but bills aren't paid in households, and that causes lots of tension. And the tension usually reflects on the child. Get out of my face, or, that kind of thing. Or, I wish you were never born, maybe some parents are saying to their kids, because they're so frustrated at the struggle and they've got the pressure on them. And it's just a never ending, disgusting cycle. And our systems, our what do you call it, government buildings plays a part in this too. Now, I know everyone's seen all the violence of the police. Not all the police are like that. But news is making sure that not the good things about police stand out, but always the bad things. The ones who are in the police business to be crooked. I mean, the ones who knew from the jump, I'm only in this business to make my own money. I'll go ahead and take these 60 hours in college and go ahead and get signed up as a police. It's not that hard to be a policeman. All you got to do is pretty much have a clear background. And you can come in there with your own intentions. Like I just reposted, where these two police just kicked in this man's door just to steal his money, because the first time they came, they saw he had about 35,000. So they just came in, kicked in the door, and felt they can rough him up and take some more money out of there. And they did it about 3 times to him until he finally reported it. I mean, there's some police who are actually in the bit. There's 2 types. On this side, there's somebody who grew up and say, you know what, I came from this area and I have a desire to give back to my community, and I'm going to go out, and instead of trying to capture the people who are doing illegal activities, I'm going to use that time to pull them to the side and say, hey, you don't have to live like this. It's not a better way. I'm going to show you the way out. Some police are really doing that. But on the other end, the news that gets gotten is the police who are going out and shooting you in the back and harassing the black people. And many people in the culture are just tired. Many people are just at the point of just like, oh, this influences people more to do crimes, because they're like, oh, there's no choice. I'm dead if I do, I'm dead if I don't. I'm just driving along and here comes a policeman stopping me for no reason, harassing me, roughing me up, chasing me down the street, tasing me, shooting me just because of my skin color. And you think that because I'm from a certain area, you can treat me like this. So, in people get the mentality, oh, I might as well do it anyway. I'm getting in trouble for it anyway. Might as well do it. Just like the boy's attitude was on the video. He said, "Oh, I came out of jail for a bank robbery, and because I robbed a bank, it might have been his mistake. Just like we all have our sins, but that's where forgiveness comes in. He did his time. He comes out, and now nobody wants to hire him. Now, back to what I was saying, government buildings. Government provides, back in slavery, before slavery, when slavery ended, they had this promise where everybody, all the slave people were supposed to get 40 acres and a mule. And people are still thinking, where's that? I never got that. Where's that? They're wanting something back. So it looks like instead of giving that, they've set up a welfare system so that if you want to just get onto it, then you can just latch onto the government and then take all that money, and or just just sit back and get all the money as like a payment for your slavery or something. And many people are falling into the trick, to hurry up and latch onto the government and just sit back. But you can do things on your own. We can give back to our community. Your genius that is in there getting from the government, that genius could be applied to the community where you build a big business and bring in a lot of money and then hire people in your neighborhood and get them to work. Because in the neighborhoods, there's no jobs. Only jobs you'll see, you can find the chicken and the watermelon spots on every corner of the neighborhood. I mean, anywhere you go, you can always find a chicken place. Or what businesses, the businesses that know that black people use, you'll find clothes all over. You'll find chicken all over, but you won't find the banks. Look and see what the world's opinion is about the neighborhood by seeing what's in the neighborhood. Is there a bank in your neighborhood? No, because they know you're not going to put your money in there. The whole goal is to create a sense of not having this to the community. If I can get this community to feel like that they aren't good on the inside, and because of that nobody will like them, so they have to look good on the outside, then they'll forget their worth on the inside and they'll start doing anything. They'll spend their whole amount. They won't save anything at all. They'll start using all their money just to fund their outer exterior. So they don't put banks in the hood because they know nobody's investing, nobody's coming in the bank to do business. They're only doing, if they step foot in there, in their opinion, the banks think, oh, they're just here to rob us. I mean, nobody's doing any kind of business. So I mean, the only good thing that you can find in my neighborhood, in my neighborhood would be a church. That's South Park Baptist Church. That church has been standing there a long time, and it's about the only good thing they can find. You can find the corner store, the liquor store, the chicken place. I mean, you got 3-4 chimichans right in the same area. I mean, 2 on the same street. One just now closed down. So just think about that. Look, open your door, look outside, and what do you see? Lots of houses on the main streets, chicken places. No banks, no place to do business. No one sets their offices up in the hood. Nobody does anything like that. So you can see what kind of thing it is. Also, governments, the court system. I mean, it's all screwed up. I mean, everyone knows that there's problems in the court system, just like in the police system. There's some who are there to do good. There's some there who are doing crooked. It's a whole game. You have the drug dealers. They recruit the young people because they're too old and too smart to go out there and try to face these years all themselves. But the youth, they're like, I don't care. I mean, when you're young, you feel like you're invincible and you really don't care about any consequences. But once you face consequences, that makes you realize this stuff is really real. So the drug dealers got the young recruits. They send them out in the street, young recruits out there selling. And they run all day from the police. I mean, there's no peace. It's not a good lifestyle at all. At the end of the day, just to get an honest buck, that's why I have a focus to try to get the people off the street and realize that it's better. I don't care if you're making $5 an hour. It's better to go to this $5 an hour job, have a steady paycheck, and know that you have an income, rather than to take all your time out there hustling on the street, hoping to make a little dollar, and then you get caught up with the police. They throw you in jail, set your bond real high. You don't even have enough money from your dope sales to pull you out of jail and face the bond, meet the bond. You gotta call your whole family up, get all their money together, and come bail you out just so you can come out and do the same thing again. I mean, it's a bad thing to even, a bad cycle to even get yourself into. It's best to just avoid. Hey, I might be making $200 a week, but at least I know that I'm getting this and I'm getting the experience. The thing is that while you're on the street selling the drugs, you're missing that whole experience. Many people start at this, this fast food restaurants when they're young. They get in McDonald's or put the application in Burger King or whatever, and they start young. And from that, you're gaining experience as you go on. But the thing is that if you choose to use your teenage years to instead sell dope to try to make the fast, big money, you're going to get caught up regardless. It happens to everybody. I mean, one day or another. Police, if you haven't noticed, these days, everything's under surveillance. I mean, if you get wise, even God says, I'll cause you to see the ones who spy on you. My eyes are wide open. But if you notice everything, there's a camera on every block. I mean, there's satellites way up in the sky. You might be on your block and looking for jump out boys, but in the sense of things, they're right above you. At any time anybody wants you, they can say, you know what? If a policeman is really thirsty or something, they have quotas to me. I don't know how the police gets paid or whatever, the quotas or whatever, but sometimes I know there's something about a quota. If they have a quota to make and you have to bring this many people in, all they have to do is say, you know what? I remember him. I caught him last year. I bet he out there doing the same thing. Let me go ride up on him and see what he's doing. I got his address. Let me go follow him for a day and just sit back and see what he does. Follow him for a day. Oh yeah, he's still out there. I'm gonna give him about 2 weeks. They stalk you out. It's not that it's not, if it was back then, it sure isn't anymore. It's not that you can just post up on a block and then look left and right and see if you see a suspicious van with tinted windows coming up. It's not that kind of thing. It's that they got surveillance on you all the time. And anytime they want to come to you to make the court system get paid more, then they will. So it's inevitable for you to get caught. You can't, just think about it. Or you think that you're just super lucky that you'll start from the age of 15 all the way to, because if you're gonna start and you plan this to be your life, then you're gonna have to slang for the rest of your life. So between the ages of 15 and 50, do you think that at no time you will be caught? No. At some time you'll be doing jail sentences. Not just one, not just two, multiple of them. This is the lifeline of it. You're eventually gonna either go to jail or die. I mean, because while you're out there, you gotta also have your team. You gotta have a team of people behind you so that somebody can protect you. Because if you're just out there alone trying to slang, anybody can come, take what you got and sell it themselves. So drug dealing leads to gang. So you got to be a part of a gang for the protection. And when you're in the gang, there's also other things that you got to do, whether it be bank robberies or murders or whatever you got to do. You got to do all this stuff. And all these things that's adding up is actually affecting your soul if you don't know it. Where at the end of the day, you've pretty much forgotten who you are inside, who God developed you to be. And your whole mind is on a hustle. I gotta run. I gotta chase. I gotta hide. I gotta scheme. I gotta plot. I gotta do everything. You're doing the most for the least. Don't do the most for the least. It's better you're not always gonna start getting into a job at $5 an hour. I mean, that's not always gonna be your pay rate. But if it has to be your pay rate just for today, make that $5 stretch. Make that $5 work for you. Next year, be searching for something that's $6. Next year, $7. If you have a goal of increasing your dollar at least once per every 2 years, then of course, instead of being between the ages of 15 and 50 and going to the courthouse and jail system multiple times, between the ages of 15 and 50, you can go from $5 an hour to 30, 40, 50, you name it. It's all in your own pace. It's all in your own mindset of what to do. Don't get hooked up just because some older person is balling and you see them riding big body Benz and they tell you, this is what I did, this is how I got it. No, that's a rare scenario. And even then, you don't know what that person's facing. He could be facing life on his next court date. You don't know. So don't just say, okay, I like how that look. Our culture is too caught up on what looks good instead of the the inside of someone. I remember when I was in school, like I mentioned, I rarely went to school months out at a time because I'm somebody who, my personality is sarcasm. I like to make a joke. But if I'm ever in an environment where it's structured, where there's no time to be joking around, then that takes away from my personality. I don't want to get in trouble at home, I felt. I don't want to be in class cutting up. When as soon as I'm cutting up in class, then I know the information goes back to my parents or whatever. So it was no joy to, be in a class, having to work. I mean, for my own reasons as well. And plus because I like being out in the street or whatever, socializing or whatever. But when I was in school, I would only go to school to dance during like dancing seasons or whatever. Whenever I was on the football field, I'm there. If dancing season was over, then pretty much I'm out. But while I was there, like you can see this is a great example of how people just are caring only about the outside, never care about the outside, see what's on the inside of someone. And this goes in any things for life, whether it's relationships or anything. But while I'm at school, when Jordans was just coming out or whatever, the white and black ones, when they had gotten out that ugly style and brought into the new, fresh, good-looking style, I came to school with them like when they first came out, and I'm just sitting in my class with my Dickies or whatever, just sitting there. And I mean, you wouldn't believe just how a whole class's attention is just staring at your shoe. I mean, I couldn't believe I'm like, you staring at this? You know how it look? I mean, people talk about these shoes all day just to take your focus off your work. 2 or 3 people just in the class, I'm just working, and they're just staring at the shoe like, oh my gosh, that's the best thing I've seen. Or also they might have been thinking, how can I get them? Because I faced that too. I was walking down the street one time, and this group of girls rolled up, and they're like, hey, you want to come ride? See, that's the thing of the hood. Hey, you want to come ride with me? Well, I want to ride with a bunch of... But anyway, I declined that. I peep. Like I said, I'm smarter than the average pair. But they roll up, and they're just staring at my shoes. Like, ooh, that's the new Jordans. I'm finna get them. You want to come, trying to make it sound all friendly. You want to come ride with me? No, I don't even hang around girls at that point like that. So they ride off. But people always have an intention of, how can I get this from the next person? How can I? You got to always watch what you got. It's better almost to not even have nothing at all. Because if you have something, someone's always going to be plotting on how to take it because they see that they don't have it. And they feel that if they do have it, then they are a somewhat more importance to someone or to society. So that's the thing. And courts have their own game that they're playing. I mean, there's plenty of stories of, thankfully there's good and bad of everything. Not thankful for the bad, but thankful there's good. Because I've seen stories about a judge where he's got this deal with this institution where if he brings so many people, convict so many people, and bring them into the institution, then he gets a certain portion from that. I mean, there's schemes and scams on, and we're just the whole culture is just being, it's just a puppet. Everybody's pulling the strings of everybody in the culture, and we're the puppets doing the dance for them. Oh, go out there and sell the drugs. Yeah, you might get thrown into jail, but you'll stand in front of a court, and the judge already has his intentions to throw you into an institution just so he can get some money off of it. I mean, it's just the whole world. It's a mess. And how can you get out of this mess? That's the whole goal. How can the mess end? Well, first of all, if there were actually more love and more care for actual individuals, change that whole mood of, what's the mood? Like, you friendly, that kind of mood. You don't have to call the next person friendly for what? I mean, be happy if they're friendly. Hang around that person if they're friendly. Because you know what? A lot of people ain't. If you saw on that video, it's a rough exterior. Many people, if you see somebody like the people in the video coming towards you, I mean, that's the whole point of the appearance. With the tattoos or the shiny grill, it invokes or provokes a response from the person looking at you. It almost makes the person, it's like the lion or an ape who beats his chest. An ape in the wilderness, they beat their chest to show that, oh, I'm the biggest one here. If you want to scrap, let's go. I mean, we can do it. I can show you that I'm the biggest one here. That's the kind of thing. You don't have to beat your chest, but you can walk around like and just mean mug all day, like, ugh, I wish you would try me. That kind of thing. And it's that whole kind of attitude and the whole how you build yourself up to let people know, oh, you can't, don't mess with me at all because I'm not about that. I'm not the one today. It's that whole attitude. And that's because when you're living in the midst of the wilderness and the civilization, that's the attitude sometimes you have to be because a lot of people will try you. The eyes that are on you are not usually for your good. Nobody's just stalking you out to say, oh, yeah, you look like somebody I can actually do something good for. Nobody in the hood is doing that. Nobody in the trap is doing that. If anybody has their focus on you, it's usually to get something. What can I get out of this person? Yeah. So that's all it's about. So when people have learned to adjust, you adjust to your environment. If it was such a good environment, you would see like the suburbs or whatever the the Beverly Hills is or whatever. You can see in those areas you can wear whatever you want, or you can be fancy or not even fancy. But just because you're in the rich area, then everyone knows. I don't care how you look, you can be scrubbish. You must be some kind of rich if you're over here. But at the same time, that same thing goes on in the culture. If you are scrubbish, then because you're in a poverty area and you look scrubbish and you're not, you don't have on the fanciest things, then obviously you're perceived as worse of the worst. In the rich area, if you look poor, you'll still be considered rich because you have to have some kind of money to get there. But it takes no money to get in poverty. In the poverty areas, it's free. You can get in there for free. So if you're walking around poor, then that means you're the poorest of the poor in the poor area. But if you somehow make yourself look dazzling and you, as soon as you smile, you got the grill showing and it's all bright and blingy and you're intimidating to those who don't know about the culture. As soon as they see you, they might want to cross the other side of the street because they're like, oh, look at him. He got a bandana. He must be in a gang. He got tattoos all on him. He got a grill in his mouth. It's a certain look. And it's a coping mechanism, if I can say that, or if that's the right word for it. It's to cope with your environment, to show, oh, if I can look the meanest and the baddest, I'm not the one to mess with and they'll know it. So when people on the outside look into the culture and say, I don't know why they're all like that, they're just ghetto. I mean, it is a ghetto. It's a poverty scenario where society and the environment is breeding this and there's no end to it. It's constantly pumping out the same thing. Woman, you sleep with a man, whichever kind of way, rape, whatever, rape, what do you call it, the other things, regular sex, consensual sex, or however you had this baby. You had a baby. He ended up being a boy. You raised that boy to be strong in a physical sense. Don't cry. Don't do this. So pretty much you're shutting down his feelings. You're telling him don't have real feelings. Close yourself up. You cannot show weakness because this is an environment that's going to feed off that weakness. And if you show any kind of tendencies of care or love, they're going to all come after you. And it's a protection for that child. Child grows up saying, I have no weakness. I have no feelings. I have nothing but concern about taking care of me and mine, but mostly me. And if I have a mind, then they're going to have to deal with their own self because I didn't have a dad that grew me up. So you can grow up yourself. So he's growing up. He respects his mom for teaching all she has done, but he has no respect for, the family because he never really cared. He never had a dad to show him how to be a dad. So he leaves just like that. So he won't have to have the responsibility and feels that the child can do good their own when he has his own child. And he goes out and he's a teenager or in his early 20s and he goes out and he finds the quick way to make money and he goes to jail a few times for making the money the fast way. And he knows he comes to his second strike and he knows if he goes to jail one more time, he's done for it. They give him, straight life. He's never coming out. So he knows he's still in the same mind frame of doing crime. So he knows the next time that he does a crime, it has to be the biggest crime he does, or else it's not worth it. It's got to be a crime of life or death, because that's what he's facing. He can't come out of that jail and get a job now because he has that whole record, and nobody's hiring somebody with tattoos all on him. And because he got the tattoos when he was in jail, because that's what they did while they just sat around, just something to do. And he's come out now, and he can't get any kind of money but other to take from someone else or to sell more drugs, which is giving him the to face life again. Because if the court said that if he comes back, then he's going to end up going to jail for life. So he's out there and he thinks, let's do a whole bank robbery. I'm just ready to get one last job done and just end it all, or at least for a little while. He tries to get a few $1,000s from a bank robbery. In that moment, he's probably ready to face death. He doesn't care if the police actually happen to come in. He's ready to die because, like the man said on the video, this is hell. This is hell, he said. After Katrina, that happened to be in Louisiana. After Katrina, of course, you can imagine that there was problems in FEMA and all the other stuff where the assistance wasn't getting to the people, and I think they even fired the mayor or whatever because of the assistance was not getting to the people. That's gonna fall. But anyway, so he's feeling like, oh, it's hopeless. Everything's down in Louisiana, and not just Louisiana. I've gone through it, and pretty much just from the outside looking in, the whole place seems like a ghetto. I mean, you have places in Houston that are, you can tell is the ghetto. South Park, Sunnyside, 3rd Ward, maybe even 5th Ward. You can call out the places, and then they have the good places like Bel Air, I don't know, Sugarland, those kind of places. Those are the more fancier places. But when you ride through parts of Louisiana, at least the parts that I rode through, I just saw straight ghetto. So I can imagine what he's saying. When Katrina came, there was no assistance for him, and now he has less than the ghetto that he had in the first place. So that's why he's, gangstered out or whatever with the bandana on him. He got a Glock in his hand. He's ready, pretty much on a mission to kill or be killed, to eat and live or die while trying. That's the whole name of the game. And so many people from my neighborhood, from where I grew up, I mean, you start hearing the names. You can't believe these people are dead. And you don't believe how people's lives turned out, because the same people you hang out with while they're smoking or doing whatever they do, while you hang out with them, you hear them make jokes on the people who are addicted to crack, who are walking by, and they call them crackheads or whatever, make a joke on them and be like, I never do that. But they're not realizing that if you're not strong enough, the stresses of the world and the drugs can lead to it's gateway drugs. Drugs can lead you to other drugs. So who you thought you would never be while you were 15 or 16, just like that person you call a crackhead walking down the street. You think they planned this out? You think they wanted to be this person? No. Obviously, life got a hold of them, and they did more than what they expected. So the people that you saw when you were young who always said, I'll never do these drugs, and you happen to ride past them or hear this story from someone else, and you realize they're strung out just like they said they never would be. Or they didn't even make it. They're dead. Like I told you in the song that I made up at the last verse, my ex-boyfriend, he didn't even make it. I mean, some people don't make it. The majority, you don't make it. And it comes to that point where people are thinking, look, it's either I eat today or I'm going to die trying. That's the whole name of the game. But I was on the subject of what things can change. What things would have to occur for a neighborhood to just turn its whole self around. First of all, there's brilliant people in the hoods. You would have no idea. Brilliant. This is why people are out there selling the drugs and all this stuff, because they got money making mentality. They have organization mentality where they can set up a whole gang and say, let's do this way, and it's all you wouldn't believe how structured it is, where it's just like a business being run. Instead of promoting that, take that energy and put it into building an actual business. Whether you got to start small, like I said in another video, whether you create your own lawn business or anything, something substantial that you know you won't have to go to jail for. If you're a woman and you've invited people over and people say, these pork chops, they're good, or whatever you serve and they like your food, consider doing a restaurant in the area. It's going to take more businesses and not just eateries. Maybe get away from the eateries. It's enough food places, but businesses that are actually generating funds throughout the world. Businesses that matter in the world, where you can actually get on the NASDAQ or get into the stock market. And it's a hard thing to do, and at the same time easy if you have the skill set. So if you have the mindset to do that, then it would be great for someone to start working on that and put those things into the neighborhood. Make offices where people can come and rent the office. I mean, in South Park, I can't even think of any kind of business place like that. I'm running through the streets and all I see is chicken. I mean, and it shouldn't be that way. Chicken should not be the highlight of my neighborhood. So that's one way to do it, to bring businesses into the neighborhood and make them be businesses where your neighborhood will want to come by. South Park should not be rushing to the Galleria to just so they can say, I got this from the Galleria. Where'd you buy those new clothes? From the Galleria. Just make, and we even had King's Flea Market. And what's that? Closed down now. The little place that we did have is no longer in business. It is just a bunch of destruction there. I mean, businesses come, they might try it out for a little while, and then they look like, nobody's buying over here. It's about supporting your own community. Everybody in South Park, if you would take all your money and just spend it in that community, I don't care if it is just on the chicken places. I mean, although we shouldn't just be supporting Timmy Chan all the day, because I don't really see any give back from Timmy Chan. Although, I mean, they've been there for years, and everybody's eating from there. Eating from there. And people even go out, the superstars in the neighborhood or whatever, people from Houston, they go and promote Timmy Chan to other people. Hey, if anybody come to Houston, go to Timmy Chan first. Go to Timmy Chan. But every time I come to Timmy Chan, I don't hear nothing about Timmy Chan giving back to the neighborhood. And Timmy Chan, stand up. If anybody hear this from Timmy Chan, stand up. I mean, give back to your community. Promote something good. I mean, don't just show that you can hop from one MLK location to the next MLK location and then get on, 610 and exist. What are you doing for the community? Because all the fried chicken that you're feeding us to clog up our arteries, we should get some kind of appreciation back. You just now raised your prices. But that's on some more stuff. But anyway, that's one way. Build community, build businesses, not just black owned, because like I said, powwow and every other race, lots in South Park, lots of Hispanics are moving. It used to be just majority all black. Lots of Hispanics are now in the community. So do what you can, Hispanic, black, white, whoever you are. Build up a business, have thoughts, work off your thoughts. You only got one life, and what's it gonna hurt to try what you're dreaming to do? I mean, whatever you want to do, at least try it once before you say, "Oh, I'm not gonna do it at all." If something's on your heart to do, like me, what's on my heart is not to be in a 9 to 5 all day and just think about grabbing money. What I'm gonna do is give back to the community in the midst of getting money. I've never been somebody to just lay up on somebody and take from somebody. I've always supported let me just change that. I haven't done anything. My God has always walked behind me, in front of me, around me, and supported me, so I really don't have to live off or feed off of anybody. He's always taking care of me. But my whole desire isn't, I mean, when you're sitting in a 9 to 5 just to get the money to rush home, this is the daily scenario for everybody. You go to 9 to 5, you do your best work, you work hard, you're there all day, and whether you're appreciated or not appreciated, you still, at the end of the day, get the money that you signed up for, which was the agreement. Do you agree to work here for this amount? Yes. You come home, there's barely enough time or light in the day to, even stay up. You're so tired from work, especially if you have kids. You're looking like, oh, I got these kids, I gotta feed them, I gotta bathe them. I gotta cook for them. I gotta make them lunch for tomorrow. I mean, you're just duty all day. And taking care of your kids is respectable. But me, myself, I have no kids at all. I've never been pregnant, anything. And it looks like I'm not having kids in my future. But at the same time, I do, I guess, motherly, what do you call it, instinct or something, have a desire, not motherly instinct, it's actually godly things that's on my heart, have a desire to give back to community and help and be actually out there activizing, if that's a word, activism, something, be an activist for different causes. And the different causes that are on my heart are, number one, that's a high thing because I cannot see just constantly young men. It's not really even women, and the more target is just mainly young black male. Young black male, you raised up because this is how you're raised up, and it's not. You can't really say it's all your fault because you're in the midst of the wilderness and the civilization. If civilization ended today, watch how people go crazy trying to get some food or water. The people who are in Bel Air or in the suburbs or wherever you're at in the greater areas, if the cycle of money ended today, if the value of the dollar came to zero and everybody's on euro and nobody does business with America anymore, and we're all alone to face our own things, and money's not circulating like it once did, and you see that you can't pay for your mansion anymore. So now you can't even pay for food anymore. I don't care who you are, you're gonna fight for yours and your family. So we can all sit on our high chair and say, "Oh, how could they treat each other? How could look, Cindy on the TV? Another black man goes to jail for robbing a bank." I mean, we can't get on our high horses just because we're on the outside looking in. Because I guarantee you, if you're in the same position, I mean, why does anybody turn out the way they are? Obviously, it's a road, a path. The path that I went on is to lead me to here, to being able to share stories with the public about God and tell them that He has a life for you, where you don't have to settle for the life that you're in or that you're going through. So if I didn't go on the path that I went, let's say, for example, I chose the other boy, like I told you in my song, it was a choice of two boys. If I chose the other boy and I didn't have to go through the experiences that I went with the other boy, then what path would I be on? Who knows? It would probably be a whole different path. So your path and your experience definitely reflect where you're gonna be. Because I was never somebody who just worried about God at all. I mean, I was just like the normal person. Everybody usually grows up and learns about God pretty much from their parents and say, okay, my parent is a Christian and my parent believes this and that, so that's what I'm gonna believe too. I mean, with no umph to it, no desire to learn more, no really claiming God for yourself, but just saying, I was inherited this God. This God was inherited because my parents and their parents and their parents' parents loved God, and they every once in a while I heard them talk about Him, and that's why I love God. But instead, it's an experience that you learn for yourself, and you shouldn't just always think that, oh, I can just feed off my mom's God or my dad's God. Learn God for yourself, and that's when you'll realize that you're more than you ever thought you were. You're more of a spirit than you ever knew you could be, and your relationship with God is the most valuable thing on this earth that's important. So, at the end of the day, all we can do is think of scenarios. As I'm speaking, I'm thinking about, because none of this is planned, none of this is ever planned. I just come on here and talk. So I did mention one of the ways is to bring businesses to the community. Also, if the police systems and the courthouses, if they could take some kind of like, if they could take authority, and if they ever see somebody doing negative, kick those people out and only bring the good people in who are going to do fair decisions and give people fair chances, and have an understanding that not everybody is brought up the same, that everybody can be raised different and lead them on different paths. Um, Also, people who have left out of the neighborhoods, always make sure that you give back. Imagine if you were still the one still in that neighborhood, you would want somebody to come in and say, oh, yeah, I've lived here. I know how it is. I know what you're going through. and here's a little something or a plan or a plot to get you out of this, just like I got out of it. Share your story about how you got out of it so that other people can benefit from that, and they can go on with their lives and do better and come back and get somebody else too. Even if it's just one person you want to work on, go through the hood, pick one person, say that person right there I'm gonna instill into, I'm gonna influence somewhat so that they have a chance of life. Because when you're 15 and you're young, you think you know everything, but you don't. And many people can manipulate you by their flashy stuff. And just because you don't have and you want what they have, then you'll do what you got to do to get it. And you'll team up with that person and sell your drugs and think that's going to make you on the right path. But trust me, someone who's lived there and has come to this age, I've seen tons of people just get killed or die or overdose or strung out. I mean, it's the when you're 15, you got it all planned out. Oh, I'm gonna have this, that, and the other. But to actually live to get to that, it's gonna take a lot. And usually, if you're involved in all kind of negative things, your whole life is gonna be spent paying court fees. I mean, if you once you get in court, there's gonna be fees, so many fees that you'll is fees on top of fees. It's almost like they'll take years just for you to get out of that. And because it takes years, some people don't even think about paying it. They just drop the whole thing and say, okay, I'm going to go and forget about this, when that's still stuck on their record to pay. And then they might get a warrant and they come get gotten again, and just all kind of crazy stuff. It's just best to avoid it. I mean, you don't have to be the biggest and baddest. This is where you humble yourself. If we individually just humbled ourselves, that would really cure a lot of it. Where we don't have to feel like, oh, I'm in the poverty area, but I have to express myself in richness to others just so they think that I'm worth something. You don't have to do that. Find your value in God. Parents, instill God into your child so they don't think they have to have a new pair of shoes or a new shirt just so they can be the best anywhere. You don't have to be the best that kind of way. I mean, let your inside be exposed. And if someone's calling you friendly, then tell them, why you're friendly. Tell them about your God so that they can realize that it may be good to be friendly instead of insulting friendly. So it's a whole mindset. Get out of the mind frame that you must have, and just appreciate the life that God's given you, and live that way. Because once you get focused on you must get, that's when you'll do anything to get. Because you're not valuing life. You're looking like, this is hell, just like that boy said on the video. This is hell, and I might as well, since this is hell, I might as well do anything to feel like heaven. And even if I die and go to hell, then it was all worth it because I was already living in hell anyway. That's the whole attitude. Don't feel like that. You are valuable. You have ideas. Look how you funded, and I'm talking to the drug dealer and the gangbanger. Look how you funded your gang activity. Look what you're doing. You have ideas and you can structure. You're a man and you can become a man and show other people how to be a man by doing things legally instead of illegally. You don't have to always have somebody on your back and wondering, oh, are they coming to get me today or not? That's not the way to live. That's no life at all. That is hell. That's why he's probably feeling that like that in another way. I always have the mindset that you're not going to take from somebody just to support what you do. Whatever you have to do, you're going to go and try to get out on your own. If you do need assistance for a moment in your life, then sure, it's no shame in that. Go and get it. But don't make that your housing, where you house yourself at, and say, okay, I got it once, and they're going to keep giving it to me. Because at any moment, they can just drop you off of your welfare or whatever you're getting. There's no shame in getting the welfare. I mean, anybody who's in need of welfare, go get it, just to support yourself for that moment. But then always bounce back. Always bounce back. If you're at the lowest, always have a plan to come back. Never say, oh, this is where I'm at, I'm done. I mean, that's a slow death and a sure way to never pull yourself out of what you're going through. So with that, I'm just thinking about if there's anything more. There's always a whole big topic around this. And I'm just saying the few points of today. To summarize it so that I can end this video is to say that, number one, if you're on the outside looking in, recognize there's a reason why culture is a certain way. Don't just assume that all people of one race are a certain way, because these people, my people, your people, we all have mindsets where we can do much more than what we're doing, but we don't have the resources at hand to take what we want to do that's positive and do it. Instead, we're taking what's easier to do and going out and doing the illegal activities that get us caught up and that hurt society in a whole. I mean, while people are in their great neighborhoods, because this neighborhood is suffering, people from this neighborhood go into that neighborhood and they take, which is the opinion that what do you call his name, Zimmerman had when he was after Trayvon Martin. He sees, oh, I know everybody in this neighborhood, and look, there's a black boy walking in my neighborhood. I know he's up to something. Let me stalk him out and see what he's up to. So we all know how that ended. And actually that wasn't the end of anything. That's more the beginning of all these violent police scenarios coming to light, where police are just pretty much killing our youth, because the police, some of the police, not all of them, they're out there seeing like, the only people that I'm running into are the ones that are black. I mean, but even if they are black, you have to realize that it's a culture that's breeding that. They're living hungry. They don't have anyone to pay the bills. Their mom's probably in the room crying. They see their mom crying, oh, I can't pay the bill, they're finna evict me. And being the supposed man of the house, they have to go and run out and try to do something for that family. So realize that these aren't just gangbangers. Just like that man, the reporter who was talking to those guys, if you sit down and talk to someone, you realize that they have a soul. They aren't just heartless and careless, but they have a mindset where I gotta do what I gotta do. So don't be afraid just because you see somebody with a grill. They're just like you and me. I mean, the other time when I made my video, you saw I was just like this, but I put on a cap, or I had lots of blingy stuff on me. That made me no different from who I am. I'm still a person who cares about others at heart. But just because my outside might seem a little way where just like pow in your face or make you feel standoffish, that doesn't mean anything. Humans in a whole, we all have a sense to want to survive and want to have peace, actually, at the root of us. None of us, unless you just have a heart of evil. I mean, because that is possible. You can have a spirit of evil, but not too many of us want to walk around day to day and always have stress and strife going on. We like peace inside of ourselves because that makes us feel joyful. And if we don't have that peace, it's an interruption to us. And we have to find out, how can I get that peace back? Oh, my bill's not paid. I need some money. I'm not at peace. I need peace. I'm going to take my peace and go to this store and get a piece of what they got and bring it back. And by that time, I will have peace. This is the mindset. And it shouldn't be that way. But again, when you're in the midst of the wilderness and civilization, this is what's going to happen. Just like way over here, we know the traits of wilderness. You got to fight to survive, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to fight to survive in the wilderness, but you're still in a civilization. So that's why there are huge consequences for you to fight and survive. But that's the most thing. If we can teach our children that the value of us is inside and not on the outside, it doesn't matter how you look, it doesn't matter what you wear or whatever, your value is actually on the inside of you. Then we'll not have to go out and buy the most fanciest outfit or anything just so everybody can step back and be in awe. And it's a two-sided way of that. First of all, we got to stop being in awe of people who are just all fancied up. I mean, we got to just start looking at that stuff and say, yeah, that's fine. Just like someone's just people just staring at my Jordans. For what thrill are you getting? Do you want me to take a picture and just pass it on your desk? What thrill are you getting just to stare at my shoes? Oh, I don't get it, but once we teach our culture, don't be fascinated by the fancy. And also teach our culture that it's more important to be beautiful inside than outside. Then we'll have a start somewhere. We won't have to be so thirsty to try to get so much in such a hurry just to impress others, just to let them know that I come from this poverty, but I'm the best in this poverty area. I mean, we don't always have to flash and be fancy. Um, the other lesson is that go give back to your community. I said that one before. Even if you have to pick just one, as one person that's worth it, because you're saving that person from ultimate destruction. Because there's only two routes: either jail or dead. So not many other people who are involved in that lifestyle come from more than that, or go into more than that. What else can be done? That is about it. I have lots of things on my mind to say about it, but I just try to force everything into a little packet so that it won't be too long. But it's already been an hour and 10 minutes, I see. So I'm just gonna close this up and just be good to each other. Don't be quick to judge. Realize that there's actually a war inside the cities that goes on in these neighborhoods. Hate upon hate upon hate. And all it needs is a little love to be put back in there, because no love is given at all. There's no love in the homes. There's no love anywhere. And like I would say, if you are going through something, you can go to daviddancer.com, or you can and send a message and get a response, a biblical answer to your problems. Oh, you're going through this. You can't pay your bills today. Well, I'll respond with maybe resources. Hey, have you checked out this place? They can help you with your bills and give you Bible quotes to let you know that God's got his eye on you and you've made it through other things before and you're going to make it through this. Like I said yesterday, if you're going through an abusive situation and you need to fly by night pretty much and don't have anywhere to go, just call 832-280-5801 and I will talk to you and help you out with your situation. You can also text that number if you have any problem, just to get a resolution based on biblical wisdom, not from me. Because anything that I talk about is not my own wisdom usually. It's about what I've learned from my God, from his word. If you have time, or it would be great if you can make time, look into the Bible. There's answers for anything there. If you ask me anything in the world, what's the purpose of life? What's this? What's that? What should I do? I can always flip through a couple pages and voila, God's written it out for you. That's why he left it. He's a good God who's not just going to leave you alone. He's going to give you some kind of clue of what kind of life he had for you. Also, forgiveness challenge, of course. Do that. Just so you can sort of begin a ripple effect of forgiveness throughout the world, because that's what we need. Every day, everybody gets offended by the next person, and usually it's not on purpose, and sometimes you don't even know you've done it, but the person might be smiling in your face, and at the same time they're thinking, oh, I do not like this person, and they don't even know it. So forgive, move on, live life, because while you're sitting there worrying about as soon as this person comes around, I'm finna hate on them or hate them inside, that's just taking hours out of your life. You could have been doing something better with your time, like praying to God or anything. What else? I said I was gonna repost the song I posted yesterday so you can hear it. I'm not gonna play it here. I could play it, but I don't feel like it. But go ahead and listen to the song. You can hear it and realize that this is a true life story. There's various scenarios that can get you to bad places when you're in the hood, and it's not all good in the hood. So just know that. But we can make it better. And with that, I'm done. Check me out on Twitter for my song. It's what is my Twitter? I have to get on Instagram too, because everybody's leaving Twitter. I don't know why. Did you see that? Today they posted something that said they're gonna try to make it better, where people don't always post the same thing over and over, because everybody's tired of seeing all these butt pictures. Of course, that's all that's on there now. Butt pictures. I mean, it just makes me want to close it out. Butt pictures is something about some kind of game. I don't know, but everybody's left. They're gone to Instagram, and plus I have videos I want to put on Instagram too. So for the forgiveness challenge, so you can go do that. But anyway, my Twitter is @____ Adrian underscore underscore underscore. And really, my name is pronounced Adrian, but I say Adrian because I just like that. But go there and you can listen. Until then, God bless you all. These two fingers for peace, love, and I'm gone.